All right, back again for another episode of the McKinney Podcast, celebrating what makes us unique by nature. You ready to go again, Fred?
Let's go.
Oh, man. I love these batch recording days because we get to go back to back to back and then have all of this stuff fresh in our heads. Our guest today, it's so funny how things happen. I was at a meeting for the development project that's happening on the north side of downtown, a couple of blocks from the square, and it was an absolutely packed council chamber over there, in the city hall building. And in the wrap up after the meeting, when everybody had their say, and lots of folks that live in and around the area were expressing their very strong opinions on what should and should not happen, I'm talking to folks, and Mr. Michael Jones is walking over and he's like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And we just small talking, and he's like, "When am I going to get on the podcast?" And I'm like, "Well, dude, let's get you on the podcast then, man. Come on." No, it's so funny when things start to happen and people start to become aware of a new thing, a new media property. People want to be on the show, so. Not everybody gets to be on the show. You got to be somebody to get on the show. We're not just going to throw random people up here that haven't done anything. But our guest here today absolutely has done something. So let's go ahead and give him a little intro, shall we? He hails from the great state of Michigan. He's been in McKinney since 2000, right? Yeah, you said 2000?
Yes.
Now, he is currently serving on our wonderful city council, and he is also, by day, he is a commercial banker and lender. Please welcome Mr. Michael Jones.
All right. Thank you for having me, guys.
No.
Appreciate it.
Whew. So, you got a lot going on, man. Like, family man, businessman. You very involved in McKinney civically, even before you decided to run for public office. What's it like spending the last 24 years in our great city? You're born in Michigan, you come down, you live in Garland, you grow up, you go to North Texas University, Mean Green, and you find your way to McKinney. How do you feel about living in the greatest city in the world?
Yeah, it is the greatest city in the world, man. I love it here. So me coming into McKinney, when I first got here in 2000, still in college at North Texas, just to see the growth. I mean, golly, McKinney was bare. You just think about that. Just 24 years ago, there was so much things that are not here now. I mean, 380, though it's almost undrivable right now, it used to be just nothing but cows and a couple old buildings out there that's been there for, maybe 100 years. But yeah, no, I love seeing the growth, and we're doing it the right way. I love the way McKinney's coming up and growing into, being part of one of the big four in Collin County. Just going in and still growing into its own. So I love it here. So yeah, it is the greatest city in the United States.
Yeah. Sorry, Rome, Paris, London. Beijing. No, McKinney, Texas.
I said United States now.
Oh man. So let's just start in the Wayback Machine and kind of work our way forward, because you've been around in McKinney for more than 2 decades. You graduate from North Texas. How in the world did you decide to go into banking? Was it straight out of college, or did you find your way there a different path?
No, so I'm not a banker. That's what I always tell people, and it's probably why I do so well at it. So right out of college, I had great teachers at North Texas, by the way. They're just amazing people. I majored in finance, and I had got home, I graduated, and I had a teacher that really took some interest in me and asked me, hey, what do you got going on? And this was like a month or two, after graduation, in May. So we're talking June, July, and I started, telling him, I was like, I'm just back home. I'm not doing nothing. He's like, what? Like, you're not, you don't have a job lined up? Like, no. And so he's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, I just really want to travel. I'm young. I don't want to, single. I don't really want to be bound to a desk all day. And so did some research with him, and we had a list of companies, and I did some interviews, but one in particular was GE. At that time, GE was the largest company in the world, and so I ended up, long story short, I went to go work for GE as an auditor, and I would audit all GE businesses and businesses that did business with GE. So it was kind of cool because that sent me. It was 100% travel, so I got to travel everywhere, and during that time, the first couple years, I got elected to their leadership program, which is called CAS, Corporate Audit Staff, which it expounded my travel, and so I got to see a lot of things growing up. I got to been to Paris, been to Rome, Amsterdam, London-ish. Outside of it, there's a little city north of London called Leeds. Been there. So Germany, Munich. I mean, it's been great. So I'm well traveled.
Cool.
And I still love traveling. My wife and I, still travel to this day. We travel a lot of places. We can probably get into that later. But yeah, that started me out in my professional career. I got my master's degree while at GE at University of Dallas, and so in finance again. So going through that whole process of migrating in GE from an auditor to a portfolio manager, and then to sales. I got into sales while I was at GE, but then meeting my now wife, I transitioned from traveling, and like the easiest thing to transition to in finance is to banking, and so it's I got my first job back then. It was BB&T, which is now Truist Bank. Sunk my teeth in it there. And ironically, it's so funny because the guy that my boss had hired me into banking is my boss now at my new bank.
Oh wow!
So it's so I went to started out at BB&T, was a great salesman there, and then my boss actually left the company, went to a very, very small bank called Patriot Bank, and I followed him there, and we ended up getting bought by Green Bank. And then during that time, I left to another bank called Texas Bank and Trust, because Green Bank was in the process of being bought, which is now Veritex Bank. And so I did like 5 years at Texas Bank and Trust, and then I get a call from my previous boss that got me into banking, about 2 years ago, and he's like, "Hey, we're looking at market president position in McKinney. Are you interested?" And I just said, "Yeah." It wasn't even a big conversation. He's like, "That's it?" I was like, "Yeah, that's it. I'm coming home."
There you go.
so here I am. So yeah, I'm located right here in McKinney on 121 in Alma, in probably our tallest office building we have so far, which we're bringing many more. But yeah, it's been a good ride.
8 stories is pretty tall for McKinney.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
That's right. Okay, so I want to know. So you gave us that, but let's go back, way back, to the Michigan days. Since your career has been around finances, were you just gifted? Were you that one child that always had money in his pocket?
Oh no! So we were in Michigan, man. We were broke. Was raised by a single mom. We struggled, but we were happy. We didn't, at that age, and being young, I think, poverty is all relative, because, if you have, people in your lives that make you feel good about yourself, which my mom did, she was great at masking our current situation. I didn't realize our situation until I got a lot older, when we got to Texas, and realized, how bad she was struggling to make ends meet and to keep us happy and keep our surrounding a good family environment the best way she could without getting exposed to all the bad things that are out there. We grew up in a rough neighborhood, and they call it the North Side in Michigan, in Kalamazoo, where I grew up, and it was just lots of drugs and all sorts of things, and it's like I have lots of cousins there now that I'm just wish they could have made it out, and so but it was because of my mom making the choice to say, hey, we're gonna pursue other things. We're gonna and the best way for you, and I have a younger sister, for us to succeed is to come out of there, come out of that environment, and moving to Garland was the best thing for us. I mean, Garland they had great schools, we had great friends that we met, and it just taught us that things that we didn't know about, just about being in a peaceful environment where you don't hear things like gunshots and things of that stuff going off. Yep. It was not normal. The new normal was like, wow, it's quiet at night.
Yep.
It even took a while for my mom to relax when we got here to like just let us go and be free and run around with our friends. And then she finally she relaxed a little bit, and we just got to hang out and be normal. Where she's not having the oversight. But yeah, it's been a journey, man. And when you talk about like how did you get into finance, my mom's a computer programmer. She works for the OCC, and I actually went into North Texas as a computer science major my first semester, and I realized that semester that life is not for me. I can't focus. I can't sit down that long, and it just, man, I won't say I failed, but it wasn't my best semester in college.
Yeah. So you finish North Texas, and then you have a decision to make. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Your mom had a house in McKinney, but you get to choose where you go. You get to choose where are you going to plant roots and make a life for yourself. What was it about McKinney, about Collin County, about the area that you said, yeah, you know what? This is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to plant my flag and make things happen.
Yeah. So it's like, at North Texas, it's kind of like you go to high school and you have these kids that go off to different states and stuff for college, but it's kind of like the people that stay are like kind of at North Texas, and a lot of the people I met, ironically, lived in McKinney. They were from McKinney. And like even in my dorm that I stayed in at Maple Hall, we were, I was like, where are you from? I went to McKinney High. I'm like, really? Well, how was that? We all became friends, and then, we gravitated, and that's how I kind of got gravitated driving back with people, back and forth, to McKinney, and just meeting a great network of people. And a lot of those people are still here that I met while I was in college. And I think that college experience kind of drew me to McKinney because of the people that I met, but also I saw, something like in this city, like it's just, it wasn't as busy at that time. It was like, we had, very few bars and things of that sort. And I'm not a big person. I'm not a big nighttime person anyway. So it was quiet. It was peaceful, and they had great, parks and things of that sort. So it was cool. It was just, it's just a cool environment. McKinney is always to me, people kind of, hate on the slogan "unique by nature" because of all the development or whatever. But it was unique. It's definitely unique compared to other cities. The downtown was unique. It was different. It's just different.
No, I love it, man. Anybody who complains about unique by nature isn't spending much time out and about.
That's right.
Right.
I mean, come on. Even in Collin County, McKinney's unique. I mean, you take a look at the other cities around us. Most of them aren't nearly as green as McKinney is. Most of them don't have nearly as much going on as far as downtown, the parks and recreation system. This afternoon, we get to talk to Amy Kincaid, Director of Parks and Rec. And I'm just like, what? You got a problem with unique by nature? Or you must not be looking around much. You must be sitting on Facebook or, rummaging around in groups that like to complain a lot. Because we got a great city, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned. I just had a meeting with her about, I would say probably a month ago now. And the projects they have going on, I'm not going to steal her thunder. That's going to be a great interview. So
yeah.
Just going over what they got coming. It's amazing what they're working on right now.
All right, so city council. When did you? Obviously, you didn't just move to McKinney and all of a sudden jump onto the city council. But tell us about what the drive was to get to that point, get to this point now in your civic career. How did you know that city council was your next step?
I did not know because I'm not a politician at all.
So you're not a banker.
Yeah, it's like
he's not a banker who's a banker, and he's not a politician. But
it's not even in my. It's the whole political thing is not even in my. I don't think I have an ounce of blood that's dedicated to politics. So my wife and I, we ended up building our first house in Westridge in McKinney around, I want to say this is around 2011, 2012. And I decided, I don't know why, to join the HOA board.
Glutton for punishment, huh?
Yeah, glutton for punishment.
You saw some things around the neighborhood and you're like, that needs to change.
Well, it was odd because I met some people in the neighborhood and it was just suggested by friends in the neighborhood who we were meeting. They said, man, you should help us out. You should run for and get on the HOA board. And I didn't think much of it, and it's kind of how my life story goes. It's like I put my name down there and applied, and everybody voted for me. I was like, do I know this many people?
Oh man!
Because at that time, we're building bigger. There's bigger neighborhoods coming up, like Painted Tree and things in McKinney. But at that time, Stonebridge is still the largest HOA here in McKinney. I think it's probably the largest in Collin County, if my data serves me correctly. But Westridge is a distant second, and Westridge is big, and so I was serving on the board. Well, it was just kind of fate in where my house was in Westridge. I had the largest lot in the community. It backed up to Mooneyham Elementary. And so Mooneyham Elementary on the western side of it, if I'm facing my house, and then on the east side you had Ashwoods Park, and what separated my house from the park and the school was this big creek, and kids would cross this creek every day and to get to school, and when it rained, the creek would get up to like 3 or 4 feet, so they would start putting things in the creek. So they can step on it, like cinder blocks that they would find from homes being built in the neighborhood and things of that sort, which would cause backups on my house. And then my backyard is, so we had this issue, and it's, and they even, if you want to even go back there, I think Channel 8 was out there doing a story about it, there's no way for the kids to get to school. Well, there were. They just, if I can look at a school right here and all I got to do is cross the creek, I'm not going to walk around the neighborhood to go to school. That's just, that's any kid.
So did you build a bridge?
So, so the funny thing is,
build a bridge and get over it, as my grandfather said.
The people that were on the HOA board and the school board, not the school board, but the PTA from Mooneyham, they approached me and said, we've been trying to get the city to build a bridge for forever. Nobody would build a bridge. And I started thinking about it. I was like, well, I'm very analytical. I was like, well, I could see why, right? Because that's a private property owner, which is me. They didn't know I was the owner. You have the creek that's owned by the city of McKinney. Then as soon as you get across the creek, that's Frisco ISD. And then it's McKinney on the east side with Ashwoods Park. But the bridge couldn't go that way because of the way the creek, or the way the design. And if you had a map, you would see why. It just wouldn't work. And so it has to be a partnership between Frisco ISD, City of McKinney, and the homeowner. Well,
the homeowner being Michael Jones.
The homeowner being myself, right? So I went to the city and said, hey, I really would like to get this bridge built. Come to find out, there was a budget passed back when Mayor Lockmiller was mayor that just kind of it was in the parks budget. It was just buried that there was $100,000 for this bridge. And nobody ever made any movement on it because the city was like, well, it's a private property owner and we're not going to get anywhere. And then we got to work with Frisco. And so I said, well, I can get this started because I'm the property owner. And so what do I need to do? And it's like, well, we can buy the land from you. I said, no, you ain't got to buy it. I'll donate it. So they cut a big part of my land out. I donated it to the city. I contacted Frisco ISD, asked for an easement, which they easily granted. Like, yeah, sure. We got that granted. We worked with Duvall engineers in the city of McKinney, and we had the bridge was built in less than 9 months. We had it, boom, and it's still there today. It's still,
So is there a plaque on there that says the Michael Jones Bridge? Or?
No, it's not. It's so funny. It's one day they would name that bridge the Jones Family Bridge or something. Right?
There you go.
To this day, I go to that neighborhood and people that's been there for a long time is like, thank you for doing this for us, getting that bridge there. But now the kids, it's kind of cool just seeing when I was still there, just watching, and it was next to my house, right? So I walk out. And my daughter was in kindergarten at Mooneyham, and so just walking out and just watching her walk across the bridge and go to school, I'm like, man, did something, right?
That's awesome.
And so the community was like behind me then. It's just like Westridge was like, Michael gets stuff done.
Yeah.
And so we had another issue where there was inside of Westridge, there's an actual county land. I don't know how this happened, but it's like a circle. It's just like a little circle of county land where somebody came in to build like, I guess, Section 8 housing. And it became a big uproar. And, and myself, I am for affordable housing. And, I think the definition got misconstrued. It was always going to be affordable housing, but people thought it was like straight Section 8 housing. I guess just, nobody had to work, whatever. But, I work with the citizens there and everybody in the community, let them know, hey, no, everybody that lives in this place will have a job. They just, everybody needs a place that they can afford to live. And we kind of calm that situation down. And during that time, everybody was, in our community, it's like, we don't have anybody that represents us on the west side of McKinney. You should run for city council. It's like, okay, that's a new one. I was like, I don't really want to go through all that. And I say all that. I thought it was a big process. And I went online and it was like, just fill out this form and you're in. So I filled out the form, not knowing this is 2017. This is George's first time he ran for mayor. I didn't know George Fuller. I didn't know the people that were running. And so my opponent was Charlie Phillips. Mm-hmm. And, I ran a really good campaign, but, Charlie was on the east side of McKinney, ingrained there with, his church and everything over there. He had a huge following, and I did lose. I lost to Charlie during that election. And afterwards, Charlie and George and then about 3 other council members said, man, we didn't know who you were. We wish we did. Because you ran an excellent campaign. We really like you. We really want you to stay involved in the city.
Yeah.
And from there, I joined Leadership McKinney.
Which class?
Class of 18.
Best class ever?
Best class ever.
I don't know about that.
When you think about and on the EDC board at that time, but back to that. Everybody mentions the best class ever.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you. Class of 18 spit out some winners, boy. We have the city secretary, Empress.
Oh,
Empress Train.
Mm. Yes.
She's going to sit in this chair one of these days.
Trevor Minier.
Yeah.
We have Jennifer. Is it Arnold?
Yeah.
Myself. Even people in the chamber itself. We had a strong class. We're ingrained in the city. It's so I will say best class ever.
There you go.
But I got elected to the so I want to stay involved and with my finance background, it's like you should probably apply for the Economic Development Board, and I got on that board and I served on that board for 5.5 years, almost full 6 years till I termed out. But I left the board right before then, and I filled out my application for city council again, same at-large, another at-large seat.
Yep.
And it was a rough campaign. It was a lot more brutal than when I first ran.
Yeah.
And I think it was a lot more brutal because the first time I ran, I didn't know anything. I didn't know about politics and I just you told me to show up, I show up, and let's just get to know me, right? And I just had a knack that when people, if I could just meet somebody, I think they would vote for me. It's the problem is there's 220,000 people in McKinney. You can't meet everybody, right? So,
yep.
And this campaign was brutal because obviously you had the airport deal that was going on, and Tom Meredith, who ran against the mayor on his second term, was trying at it again, and he had a lot more backing this time financially. So it was rough, but and I, there was nights I would go home and just not sleep. I would just, stay up all night, just like, why did I do this again? What am I doing? And then when the results came out, because there was actually, people don't know, there was 3 people in our race, and it's even if you go back to when I ran against Charlie Phillips, it became a runoff because nobody got 51%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to get 51% going against, he's not an incumbent, but he's ran before, and he does have the downtown, kind of the downtown vote. It was quite amazing. I shocked myself. I was like, wow, people like me.
Yeah.
And then you realize 49% of the population don't like you.
Oh man.
So
I first became aware of you thanks to our mutual friend, also City Council, District 2, Mr. Patrick Cloutier. And he and I were meeting in his office, and he's like, "Do you know Michael Jones?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Well, you should. Let me introduce you guys." And then all that happened, and come to find out, man, I really like this guy. Now his resume is great. He seems like just a real stand-up dude, and I was perfectly happy to throw my support behind you, and you got my vote for what it's worth. And one thing led to another, and now you're sitting in our chair here in the studio. It's I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
The story of McKinney, it seems to be progressing nicely, especially in representation. I was here with all of the controversy surrounding Mr. Shemwell and all the things that happened when he was on council. But to see Dr. Jure Feltus, member of the Leadership McKinney class of 2020, my opinion, probably the best class ever.
Gotcha.
Our city is diverse in just about every possible way. Unless I'm mistaken, I think this is the first time we've ever had 2 African Americans serving on council at the same time. Is that right?
It's duly elected officials at the same time. When
was Angela
Woods was appointed by council, she did serve on there with I think.
Was it Jure?
Was Jure on council then?
I don't remember.
You might be right.
I don't know.
Right.
The question I was getting at is we're doing well. We're doing well in representation and bringing more voices to the conversation, bringing a greater diversity of people that look and sound like the different people that live in McKinney, where it's not just an upper middle class business owner, white male representative. How do we have more conversations with affordable housing? How do we get more people involved in the conversation to continue to do a great job representing all the different categories of folks that live in McKinney? Now, what's your take on increasing the representation for each separate group of McKinney to feel like they have a voice in the process?
And that's it's a good question that we've been striving to solve since I've only been on council a little bit over a year now, and it's something that's in the forefront of my mind all the time, because it starts. I'm thinking from every aspect, like you are. From we're about to start our appointments with this next council meeting on Tuesday. We're starting going over our boards and commissions, and just trying to figure out who should serve on these boards. And I'm pushing for more diversity on these boards. And when I mean diversity, I mean all types of diversity, whether it's race, gender, or even political views, right? Because I think you need a whole well-round of diversity on these boards to make it work. We need strong conservative minds, we need liberal minds, we need lots of women and men and all different various parts of the city. It needs to be represented, and I do think that's probably one thing that we can fix that hasn't kind of happened. These boards and commissions have kind of been a political process where, you get elected and you got the people that helped you the most, but they may all be from the, Stonebridge Ranch, so, and it's not no fault to anybody else. It's that, people respect the people that helped them to get them where they're at, but I think, we're starting that process of opening our minds and putting people on these boards and commissions that, that you may not know, but you read, you listen to their interview and their resume and their story, and you're like, well, that person might be good on the housing finance board or the library board, or, and I think we're getting there. It's a slow turn, but I'm very, very optimistic this time we're going to start getting that part right. And you talk about affordable housing, my view on affordable housing and it's a strong view, is that affordable housing, and this goes back to my time in Westridge, affordable housing doesn't need to be put in one spot in McKinney. Yeah. It doesn't just need to be east of Highway 5 and just one little spot and create these, these affordable communities. It needs to be spruced, sparsed in between all different areas of McKinney, so everybody can live, work, and play together. And it's not just based on your income. Your income doesn't define you as you're a good or bad person. It's just, that's just your current, your status as far as what you can you get and obtain for work. So you should be able to enjoy every amenity from Bonnywink Park all the way to Irwin Park. There should be housing available for you. And so I don't like the way it's been done, where with this concentration of areas of hey, we're going to put it right here versus over here. No, you can let's integrate it everywhere. So that's kind of where I stand. And to your point of like, how do you get there? You because by doing that you integrate people in different communities, right? So now if we could have some affordable housing in Stonebridge Ranch, and if people go to our kids, the affordable housing kids, they go to those schools and their parents meet their parents. I mean, now you're part of a community when you're, and making decisions in communities that you wouldn't normally be in. So, I mean, that's the one, particular way you can, like you say, you can start spreading that diversity and making it inclusive for everybody.
Love it. Fred, you got any final thoughts here before we hit Michael with the lightning round?
Yeah, well, I think it's, going back to your mother, I believe that, she expressed confidence in you, and, there were no limiting factors around you, and she just, she's believed in you. And then I think about, you talk about your banking career and how someone, obviously believed in you and just said, hey, come on, let's go. And then, you're there in your HOA, and someone sees you and says, man, you can make a difference, and I just see this throughout everything that you shared here with us. And so what do you want to say to, because we're on the affordable housing thing, and we have a growing and diverse audience that's tuning in
For sure.
So what do you want to say specifically to maybe the single mom or the person who's who is looking at McKinney and thinking, I can't live there because whatever, it's too expensive, it's not me. How would you encourage people to, because there is a competition for where to live in this area. We've got neighboring cities. Why would you say come to McKinney?
Oh wow, I mean, yeah, because I would say definitely come to McKinney, because I mean from the schools to the amenities to the live, work, and play aspect of life. I mean, it's the place to be. I mean, if you can, especially if you say you're a single mom, and if you can, find a way to afford, a way to get here. I mean, it puts your family, your kids in the best position, for success. I mean, because your current situation doesn't decide, it doesn't, pretty much predetermine your future, outcome of your life, and I think to your point, we went back to the issues with like a Lashady, and I think you got to be in this for the right reason, and yes, we all come from, diverse backgrounds and coming and growing up with not having things, but that didn't define me. It doesn't define my family. You still have to make choices, and you can be in a bad situation and still make good choices. That doesn't, so it's
excellent.
You make good choices, and usually it kind of works out. There's some good outcome, and not always, but it just being a good person. That's one thing you can strive to be without having, it doesn't matter what situation you're in.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So ready for the lightning round?
Let's go.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So lightning round. This is just quick popcorn, no justification or anything. Texas summer or Texas winter?
Bro.
Ooh. Yes, Texas winter.
Texas winter.
You're asking him this question on a day when it will be 104 degrees outside.
Like it was the day before, and many days after.
Oh, man.
It will definitely be. All right, okay, so that's Texas winter. All right, so Taylor Swift or Journey?
Oh, man, this is going to shock you, but I'm going to say Taylor Swift.
Really?
Okay.
Well, he does have 3 children, so they're probably swaying a little influence on you. But I just want to say, remember, you just said you got to make good decisions.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you with the hard one now.
Right.
Local yokel or Rick's Chop House?
Dang.
I know. They're both so good.
You can't do this to me.
I just did it to you. Deal with it, my man.
Local yokel.
Oh.
Man. I'm a basic good food guy.
Yeah. I mean, there's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer.
They're both
wrong
outstanding.
answer. Yeah. I actually had, tacos or brisket. And so,
Whoa, man.
which do you go for?
Ooh, that's a good one. Brisket.
Brisket.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right, James.
Is it time? Is it time for the
He has
last one?
passed the lightning round.
All right. Final question here, my man. Imagine, if you will, a swimming pool of infinite size. There's no edges to the pool, and it's only 6 feet deep. Who would win in a fight between a great white shark and a gigantic polar bear?
Six feet of water. So polar bear can't. Polar bear has to pedal. He can't.
Polar bear is about 12 feet tall, just for reference.
But he has to. You swing it. His arms are still in the water though.
Yeah.
Because he's getting some resistance there. Shark, on the other hand, he couldn't be too big though. 6 feet of water. He can't be. He can't be great whitish. He'll be halfway. Out of the water there.
Yeah, it's a hard question.
But the smaller shark, though, that means the smaller shark. That means he's fast, though, because he's got to be a mako or something like that. So I'm gonna have to say the shark will probably win.
Oh, shark. Team Shark.
Oh my gosh, y'all Team Shark people are killing me. Where is that?
And I'm a nature nerd, by the way, so I'm always on Discovery Channel. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, man, this has definitely exceeded expectations. We got into some interesting stuff there, Michael, and I just want to thank you for your time today. Glad to check another member of City Council off. We've if you count George, we've got 4 now. So who else is it? It's Jure and Charlie. And who's the last one?
Rick
is
Franklin?
it Rick? Rick? Yeah. It's Rick. Rick, Charlie, and Jure are the ones we haven't had yet. So we're going to have to call them up. I keep on trying to get Jure, but man, she's got a lot going on. Mayor Pro Tem now.
Yeah.
So, whew, man.
Yeah, but you know what, though? Michael Jones, you have lived the life of people saying, hey, you should. And you're like, all right. So maybe you should just channel some of that and go to your other council members there and go, hey, you should go on the McKinney Podcast.
There you go. No, I like it. There you go. Man, any final words before we go?
No, I really do appreciate. Thank you guys for inviting me. This is awesome, great experience, and anytime I'll be back here. I just great show, and you guys keep pushing and get some following there.
Love it.
And I would say, I do have a social media site, McKinney Cares. Be free to post on there and share your word, and let's grow the show.
Yeah, you see, I didn't even want to mention that.
Yeah,
because I didn't know about his relationship to McKinney Cares until we were at a event over at Sweetwater's, and you and I were talking, and I was like, "That's yours."
We've given McKinney Cares a hard time on here occasionally because it has a reputation for being full of a bunch of loud complainers.
Oh yeah,
it really does. But honestly, I had no idea that was your thing.
Yeah, you got to have me back, and we just do a show basically on that because there's a science to it.
Can we please?
Yeah,
I would absolutely love that. I had no idea that was your thing.
Yeah, you gotta hit the newsflash thing.
Hold on a second. Now, breaking.
What a great teaser we could use this for.
There it is. Breaking news. We have just learned that Michael Jones is a key admin of the McKinney Cares group. He's one of the core people that makes it happen with more than 40,000 members in the group. That is wow. Michael, any words on McKinney Cares and what you'd like our audience to know about that group?
Hey, the McKinney Podcast might be posting on this group. You need to join the show or listen to some of the podcasts. But yeah, be friendly, be kind, and Be nice to people.
That is a great message. And what a great way to have a turning point in our podcast relationship with that group, because I've never posted anything on there because I know you guys are careful about content moderation. You don't want to be having, anyone seeming like they're self-promotional in that group. But we'll go ahead and share this episode for sure, and future episodes as well if you guys are okay with that.
That's right. And for those people who tune in and subscribe to the McKinney Podcast, who are also members of McKinney Cares, we are looking for input. We're looking for feedback. We're looking to find, those people who make a difference in our community. And I do believe that within McKinney Cares, there are people who know people who say that they need to get on board with
maybe one or two.
The McKinney Podcast.
Yeah. just a small handful. Yeah. Well, Michael Jones, I know you got to get back to your busy day, my man. Thank you so much for your time. And folks, this has been another episode of the McKinney Podcast, celebrating what makes us unique by nature. Make it a great day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you again real soon.